Hello, everyone. I am Carlton T. Clay. Welcome to Celebrate Black Excellence. Our next guest is the winner of the Mary L. Jones Black Affirmation Award for the month of July, and she is a judge. We have Tianna Bias. How you doing today?
Wow, well, I'm doing great. Wow.
I just surprised you.
You did. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
And I get an award.
Yes.
Oh man.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do in the community. We definitely appreciate you. I want to get started with you. What inspires your interest in pursuing working in the legal field?
So long story short, I grew up as a child who always got talkative in my conduct area. So I always was someone who talked a lot. I always ended up in someone else's business, I guess, advocating for people. I hate seeing people getting picked on. And so as I got older, I learned that being an attorney was one way where I could use, that talkative behavior to advocate for other people. And it ended up leading me to law school based on me getting a scholarship to go. At first, I thought I wanted to be a social worker, but I ended up having a career in litigation, and I've been very blessed and very fortunate to advocate for so many people.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, you went to law school and you went to Savannah.
Yes.
Then you returned back to Augusta. Why was it important for you to come home to pursue your career?
So I actually came back to Augusta in 2018. I started off as a prosecutor because I did not grow up seeing any attorneys in Augusta. So in my mind, I didn't think that there were a lot of attorneys in Augusta. And so I thought that I was doing something, new and unique and bringing my talents back home. And then I found out that there were hundreds of attorneys. They just weren't going out to the schools that I was at. I was a product of the Richmond County school system. I went to all public schools my entire career. And so for me, I wanted to make sure that other children who looked like me knew that they could also have a very successful career in the legal field if that was what they chose. And I also wanted to be able to give so much back to a community that supported me my entire life. I've been very blessed to have so many people support me when I opened my own firm. When I worked at the Hawk Law Group, I had a ton of referrals, so I thank you guys for all the referrals, obviously. And so I just wanted to give back to a community that gives so much to me on a daily basis.
Now, you worked in the district attorney's office. Can you talk about your career experience, specifically like what your job description was?
Yeah, so when I was at the district attorney's office, that was when Natalie Payne was the district attorney. At the time, our current district attorney, Jared Williams, was a defense attorney, and I worked well with him as well. I prosecuted violent felonies ranging from, rapes, aggravated assaults, murders. Occasionally, I would have misdemeanors. That was when the circuit was conjoined with Columbia County. So I did a lot of misdemeanor prosecution in Columbia County, but primarily just violent crimes and trying cases where we had to prosecute people of some of the worst offenses, of course.
Now, this question is for the people that want to get into law.
Okay.
Can you break down the different type of attorneys? You got defense attorney, prosecutor, public defender. Can you break all that down for me?
Absolutely. So we have prosecutors. The easiest way for people to remember that is they usually call those the attorneys who send people to jail. I prefer to call them the attorneys who obviously enforce the law or make sure that everyone abides by the law. Defense attorneys represent you if you get accused of committing a new offense or violating any sort of crime. Civil attorneys cover everything else. So anything that's not a crime falls under civil law, whether or not that's a car accident. So for example, with the Hawk Law Group, we do personal injury. That is a civil type of attorney. And then you might have family law. I've done family law cases. That's also a civil attorney, or probate and estate planning where you help people with wills and trusts. So anything that is not a crime is a civil attorney. That's the easiest way to remember it.
Nice. Now, you now own your own firm, the Bias firm.
I do.
How important was it for you to own your own practice?
So it actually kind of just found me. I prayed long and hard about it because I learned so much when I was at the Hawk Law Group. Vic Hawk and Reed Sanders are two of my mentors. They taught me a lot about business. And so I wanted to be able to do something different in the community where I could just do my own type of marketing. I did my own crazy colors because my favorite colors are black and rose gold. So there wasn't really a lot of rhyme or reason to doing anything super professional. And so I wanted to do a concept where my firm didn't actually focus on the law. It focused on the people that I serve. And so when I first opened my firm on June 17th of last year, I did a promo on social media. I didn't pay for any marketing whatsoever. And I just came up with the slogan, "From Augusta for Augusta," because that's what my focus was going to be on, was serving the people in Augusta. And much to my surprise, Augusta really showed up and showed out for me. I've been overwhelmed ever since I opened. I actually recently took a pause on taking cases because I had so many cases. And so I just wanted to be able to do something that was just a little different than what you see with other firms because I have a very strong personality. So.
And speaking of, can you talk about like the type of representation and assistance that you offer with your firm?
Absolutely. So primarily I start off with criminal defense because that's what I've been known for. I've been in criminal courtrooms since 2018 when I first came back to Augusta. And even though I tried to run away from it, I have a big heart and I think I'm a little too soft. So usually when people come to me with problems, I want to figure out a way to help them, even if it's a case that other attorneys will turn down or say, oh, you know, this is a bad case, this is a loser, we don't want it. I will try to figure out a way to help somebody out. I also do estate planning, and that's because there are not a lot of estate planning attorneys here in Augusta. A lot of people don't like to talk about death, right? So it makes people uncomfortable to plan wills, trusts, to think about what does my family do when I'm no longer here. And so I noticed that there were so many people who were ending up in probate court, and many of them were not minorities because they did not practice estate planning because they thought it was too expensive or too confusing, or, oh, my family will just figure it out because I won't be here to deal with it. And so it was really more of an education aspect of wanting people to know that this is something they can attain and it is necessary and beneficial.
Now, Judge Tianna Bias,
That's
you
crazy.
are also a juvenile court judge for the Augusta Judicial Circuit.
I am.
What made you want to pursue this path, Judge?
I know. That's so crazy. Every time people call me a judge, it kind of throws me for a loop. Well, I love kids. I tell most people the only people I have patience with are children. So I really don't have a lot of patience for adults who have a bunch of nonsense going on. But children, obviously, they are our future. They are, the people who are going to be the ones who make and shape what the CSRA looks like. And so I noticed that there were so many children who are getting in trouble. You've seen a spike in, juvenile crimes, especially during the summer. They're out of school. They're getting in trouble. They're violating curfew, all the different things. And so I felt like after representing so many young men on violent offenses, when you represent 17, 18, 19-year-olds on murders where they end up going to prison for life, or even if they get a lesser sentence, at some point you evaluate whether or not there was something that could have been done sooner to prevent that child from being in a very adult situation. Because when I think about where I was at 17 and 18 years old, I certainly, even though I was legally an adult, my mindset was not where it is today to understand and appreciate those consequences. So working in juvenile court allows me to kind of help those children who need services, whether it's counseling, whether it's, getting drug rehabilitation if they have a substance abuse disorder, or family treatment so that they can address whether or not the parents have needs that are going unheard or unnoticed in courts otherwise outside of juvenile court.
Well, thank you so much for all that you do. We definitely appreciate it. I'm sure the youth appreciate it. Speaking of the youth, what advice can you give someone who wants to follow in your footsteps and pursue a career in law?
Usually my advice is like Nike, just do it. I do it scared. It's going to be hard. And it's going to suck. I mean, I have my judicial assistant and my interns here. They've all experienced law school. I'm sure they have many opinions on whether or not, it was something that they enjoyed. But in the end, it's always going to be worth it. And so anybody who wants to go to law school, I encourage everyone to go to law school, especially minorities, because less than 4% of attorneys are Black women. And so we are very fortunate in Augusta to have a very diverse bar. But even if you don't want to come back to Augusta, there is definitely a need for new attorneys in every city across the country. And so just do it. I mean, it worked out for me. And I have a motto. Anytime I do anything, I say, well, you know what? There's somebody who's not as smart as me who was able to achieve this. So if they can figure it out, I know I can figure it out. And you're never going to outwork me. So as long as I put my mind to it, I know that I can achieve it. And I think that that's true for anybody.
Well, your hustle and your grind shows. We all see it. And that is why you are this month's winner of the Mary L. Jones Black Affirmation Award. So we want to give this to you, Tianna. Thank you so much again.
This is beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Thank you for all that you do. I'm so happy that we were able to surprise you. So this is awesome. So.
Yes, and it's hard to surprise me. Y'all got me. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Oh my goodness.
You're welcome. But again, thank you for all that you do in the community. We definitely appreciate you, and we celebrate you because you are Black excellence.
Thank you.
No
oh
problem.
My goodness.
Awesome. All right, everyone. I am Carlton T. Clay. To celebrate Black excellence, we celebrate Black excellence every day. Have a good one.